Imagine why a Cardigal. We're here. I'm here with a great woman, good fighter, Anne Marie Gray. We're up in Dundalk today, a place called Carlinn Park. And she spoke yesterday,
Carlinn Hall.
Carlinn Hall, second time I got it wrong. She spoke yesterday, we both spoke up in Carlingford yesterday about the immigration crisis imposed on our good people by the government policy and by obviously fakey G's and liars coming in, not even showing their passport, having the good manners to do that. But today she raised the issue yesterday about the cost of energy in Carlinn Hall, and I'm just here to ask her what the situation is and are there any, why have we got to this juncture where it's so expensive?
Well, I think they've been led away with it for far too long. From the very beginning, we were told that Carlinn Hall was going to be the estate of the future. That's what we were told. And to me, it doesn't look as though that. Don't get me wrong. I love my home. I love it. It's fantastic.
It's a beautiful
brilliant
home here. It's really gorgeous.
You know, but the problem we have is our heating is run by 2 gas boilers at the bottom of the estate. And it's running the whole estate. And we've gone from paying 8 cents a kilowatt to 42 cents.
Since you came in, it was 8.
It was 8 cents in the beginning.
And why has it gone up? Do you have any idea why?
Because we're being charged commercial rates in this estate.
Right.
Which looks like you have a business. We don't have a business.
Yes.
We're normal people here in this 200 houses in this estate.
And signing up, there's no choice that you cannot go off and get yourself a sign up with another energy provider.
No.
It's obligatory.
Yeah.
So there's no choice. When you buy the house, you sign up to energy contract as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you say, it's gone through the roof. And those commercial prices, yeah, that's tied in with the rest of Europe, I suppose.
I don't think it is. Because other countries are saying that it's cheaper.
Yes.
And they've got a cap. And I'm saying, why can't we get a cap?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not happening.
Yeah. The whole thing, look, here we are today. So how much is 43?
42 cents a kilowatt here.
That's very, very expensive.
It's very expensive,
so
yeah.
People
are here with children and they've come to me, Hermann, and they've asked me, Anne-Marie, will you speak up for us? That's why I spoke yesterday at the rally as well. And they're saying that their kids are going to school in the morning. It's cold because they can't afford the heating. Then they're coming home from school and they're having their tea and they're doing their homework and they're going to bed cold because they can't afford to run it at 42 cents a kilowatt. I was sitting here when I came home yesterday and I had the heating on. I had the actual heater on.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with my hat and everything on me and I was still freezing in here. You know?
It's a beautiful house. You put it up like a palace, I must say. Like,
in my opinion, Ireland is not able to go green. We don't have that kind of climate. We have too bad of a climate to go green.
Yeah, so
and I feel this has been pushed on the people.
Yeah. Look, everybody woke up this morning in Ireland. I'm up in County Louth as well. It was freezing outside, right? Whatever minus, it was between -2 and 6 there yesterday. And then there's no wind and there's no sun. So that means we can't be reliant on solar panels and we can't be reliant on wind turbines. Now, both these things need a constant backup all the time, which we have to. So we have to pay double. We have to pay to subsidize the wind turbines and the solar panels. And then we have to pay for the backup, which is either coal or gas all the time. So we're paying double. So this green ideology, just like the housing estate here, the Green Party have made the government require us to subsidize wind turbines and solar panels, and yet we also have to pay for a constant backup all the time. So look, so today there's a low overhang in Ireland. As I say, there's no wind, there's no sun, so we can't go on these so-called renewables, and we're relying. And at the same time, off the coast of Ireland, we have massive oil and gas reserves, which the Green Party and the government, who have all signed up to, no more gas or oil exploration off Ireland, which is unbelievable. And there was a man who's in charge of Shane Lynham, who's an Irish Freedom Party Westmeath. He was at a protest by the turf men there 2 weeks ago there in Shannon Bridge, and it was to reopen 2 brand new and refurbished peat power stations, which we have there in the Midlands, which are absolutely in perfect order, and yet they were shut down at the order of the government And that makes us what? We have our own heat sources in Ireland, which we've used for generations, cut and turf, etc. And yet the government are making us dependent. Country, any mature country, we need energy security and energy independence. And yet the government are taking away our energy security and taking away our energy independence. And we think completely differently. But you know what? There's a lot of people around the country in a similar situation to yourself, Anne-Marie. And well, this winter is going to get very cold. And these stupid ideas will come home to roost that the government have foisted on the people. The idea that you must sign up to some energy solution and there's no competition shows you, like, if there's no competition, sure, it's not, they don't have to make the energy cheaper. There's no competition. It's great.
Do they realise, Herman, there's children in this estate going to school, freezing every day and coming home and going to bed? Are they living in the real world? Because they need to start talking to the people on the ground who are coming to me and telling me what's going on. Like, it's wrong what's going on in Carlinn Hall. Fantastic estate, fantastic people here. And they're suffering here. And it's not fair. And it's no longer acceptable.
The houses
this is the second winter. This is the second winter of we're looking into it, we're looking for an alternative. No alternative coming. All talk.
Yeah, because the government rules out any alternatives. Now, the whole thing, what they have to do is reopen the two peat power stations immediately for the medium term, restart gas and oil exploration off the Irish coast. We have billions of cubic feet of oil and gas. And we have to look at alternatives. That we are an island nation. We're surrounded by the sea and the tide. So why isn't tidal energy part of the mix? Maybe when the technology improves, we have to look at maybe nuclear. Maybe we have to look at that. If at least check if it's have an international committee to examine if it's safe enough and efficient enough. Is it possible in Ireland? But certainly for short term, to open up the power stations we have in the Midlands and restart exploration of oil and gas and stop this stupid, expensive, inefficient dependence on solar and wind energy, which is just, well, it's freezing people, basically. It's so expensive, we can't heat our homes, and that's just not on. So I'd like to thank, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'd like to say, as well, the people in here know what's going on. I will say to you, Herman, only in Louth, only one TD did come here at the time and knocked on people's doors. Rory O'Murku from Sinn Féin. He came here and he said, we've been listening to, looking into it, brought it up in the Dáil, spoke to ministers. He's told us all that. And still nothing has changed. The people are still waiting. And to me, at this stage, it's no longer acceptable and it's not good enough.
Yeah, this green ideology seems to be universal among all the parties in the Dáil. They've all signed up to the kind of wind turbines and solar panels, and that they be subsidised by the taxpayer, that they cut out competition, that made oil exploration. They've ruled out, it's all the government parties, and even Sinn Féin, the people before Probit, they don't want the oil and gas exploration. That's crazy. So the Irish Freedom Party, we just don't point out the problems, but hopefully we also point to solutions. And long-term, people, it's going to be a hard winter. Hopefully the people who will suffer the consequences of their stupid ideology, of the government's stupid ideology, will ask questions and look for an alternative when it comes to voting in the next election. So I'd like to thank Anne-Marie. She's a great speaker, very brave woman, and she has the passion as well, and for raising the issue about the expense of energy to people around the country.
One more thing I want to say to you, Herman. People have come to me as well. That's why I spoke at the rally yesterday. They've also said to me, they don't want to hear any more excuses. They want to see the money in their hand, in their pocket or in their purse so that they can pay the bill that's coming as regular as clockwork in Carlinn Hall and stop this madness.
And actually, that's a very good point, because it brings up the whole thing of carbon tax. Carbon tax is unnecessary. Carbon tax is unjust. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, Emily, but for ourselves, carbon dioxide is a nutrient. It's necessary for photosynthesis. We're all carbon-based bodies. This idea that carbon dioxide is some kind of poison and we're all going to die in 12 years is absolute unfounded bunkum, with no scientific foundation whatsoever. Carbon tax is unjust because it taxes people who just want to drive to work. It taxes people who just want to heat their homes. The Irish Freedom Party would scrap carbon tax completely, but also look at reducing VAT down to the minimum 5%. While we're members of the EU, VAT is an EU tax. which came in with the EU, we would scrap it down to the minimum of 5% and give people money in their pocket. The less money, as far as I'm concerned, the government hate Irish people. All they're doing is funding these wacky, backy NGOs who hate us, and that we've got to give the state less money and give more money back into the pockets of ordinary Irish people so they can make the decisions how they heat their home, rather than being dependent on the state.
As well as that, Hermann, I have a breathing condition.
Yeah.
And I felt in the last couple of weeks it has been made worse from not being able to put on the heating in the way we should be able to put it on. Now, I can only talk for myself with what medical condition I have. I'm sure there's other people in the estate has different medical issues and whatever. I don't think it's longer acceptable that we have to sit with heaters on here. We have to sit with plugged in radiators. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable anymore. And the people now needs to stand up and say this. People's putting money into these meters, €80 a week, and they're coming telling me then that they're waiting to get paid for the next day, and they've no gas left after putting €80 in 1 week, and then they're sitting with their oven open to get warm. Like, what is wrong? Like, do you know what I mean? People are coming into this country with no passports, sitting in all the best places, sitting with heating, and the Irish people are cold in their houses. Like, what is it going to take? What is it actually going to take the members of the public to see that the government's going to do on them for them to wake up and smell it now? Because this is going on far too long.
It's absolute madness. You know, when you look at, there's 11,000 homeless Irish people all around the country, people being on waiting lists for social housing for, like, sometimes for 15 years. And yet you can waltz into Ireland without a passport, just say the word asylum, and yet you're put in a forced, in many cases, not all cases, but many cases, you're driven to a 4-star hotel, and you're put up, and you get free board, free heating, and yet there's Irish people lying on the street. And that's just not on. Like, we are the idiots of the world for accepting that, for accepting a government who would do that, and it's government policy which has led us to this point, and it's government policy which has led us to these stupid ideas where with energy is so expensive and it's completely unacceptable. So this winter will be the winter of discontent on those two things, of energy and an energy cost. And hopefully come the spring, when the grass is raised and the birdies sings or whatever, that people will have woken up a lot more to what's going on in the country, and that Irish people should be our priority and nobody else.
A government in any country is meant to look after its people. And that is not happening here. They don't care about the homeless. There's nearly 1 million people looking for appointments in this country. 98,000 of them are children. They're your children, as I said yesterday, and they're your grandchildren. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for your children and do it for your grandchildren. And call a halt to this. Because it can't continue for much longer, because, mark my words, the bubble is going to burst. And what are you going to do then? Because it's going to be 10 times worse than what it is now.
True words.
But the people that's coming into this country won't be 10 times worse for them. But it will be for the people who are living here all their life. So now is the time to stand up and say no more of this.
We've been taken for a ride for too long. So let's do something about it. Let's get together. Let's organise and replace the people in the Dáil before they replace us. Because that's what's going on. They don't tell you that. But basically 17% of people born in Ireland live and work outside Ireland. And 17% of the people in the country at the minute are from outside Ireland. So there's a 1-for-1 replacement. So the thing is, I don't see that I don't see the theoretical part about, of course, that's the UN ideology. Anyway, that's their paper about replacement migration. That's what the UN call it. So let's replace the TDs in the Dáil before they replace us. And let's get a different energy policy, different government, different TDs with the different ideas before we're all shivering in the cold, like people here in Carlinn Hall. And I'd like to thank Anne-Marie, especially for allowing me into her home and telling me what the situation is here in Carlinn Hall in Dundalk. And of course, I'm sure it's not the only place around the country that has that huge problem.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.